Hello guys, my name is Vishal. In this video, let's have a look on creating pattern brush inside Adobe Illustrator. I made a video on how to make calligraphy brush, but this brush is more complicated than it because we need to specify how the path is going to look like in more detail. So I was like exploring the ways and when we are create using gradients and strokes, the loops can be an issue, and matching loops is very issue. So keeping that all in mind, you need to make a design which can be loopable. That's very important. So whatever drawing you are creating, it should be loopable in the path. Okay, so what does that actually mean is, for example, if I take this particular circle, okay, and then if I place it aside, and then it looks like a bead of jewel, okay, a jewel of beads, sorry. Very similarly, if I take this one and then put it here, okay, the bounding box is very important. Again, it looks like a unique pattern. So certain areas where these loops may not match, so we need to take care of creating a precise loop. It is going to be a tough job, but I mean, not tough job, but you need to think carefully about what is that you want to create and how well the loop is going to be built. So I'll not make this complicated. I just try to keep this as simple as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a circle, okay, just create it like that, and then just give it a yellow color. Okay, so gradiency I was like trying, but gradiency is not a good choice when it is when you are doing the loops. It's very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of it and then change this color to orange, okay, and then make a copy. I'll make it dark orange, so that tree should be fine. So I'll place this here and then hold shift and drag this point, and then it goes like that. So I'll send it to back and then bring it on and then hold shift. Then you should able to see a vector gradient, I could say. I mean, it's like not smooth transition, because when you're cutting that blend, making that blend is very important. So I got this image. Now I'm going to make a copy of this one and place it here, half of the place. Okay, so I'll bring all of them like that. Okay, press Ctrl D, bring it front, bring it front. I've got four circles arranged. Now whenever, let's say I'm making this as a pattern, and then just make a copy, and then if I place it here, okay, you should see there is a gap here, and when we draw a stroke you may get the gap very similar to that. So it is very important to make it a loop. So how do I make it? So I'll take this point to this point and then cut everything out of that points. Okay, I'll take a rectangle and then just place it there. Okay, so I'll take a stroke of black and bring it to the front. Okay, now do it very carefully. Okay, very carefully you need to place this. I mean, if you miss out that points correctly, then the possibility of getting the gap in the loop is more. So as I'm telling you, should be very careful about that. Now select all of them and then make a use of the shape builder tool, and then hold alt and then click on the points which you want to get rid of, like that. And then you got this shape. As I told you, when I'm making this copy, you get that line, and that is because of the stroke. So make sure that when you're using strokes, it's respecting that loop. That's very important. Keeping stroke is not a sin, but make sure that the stroke is not bothering the pattern. So again, match it, then you should be able to see that line. Okay, just here and there, there's nothing. There's some orange line, I don't know why it came. That has to be trimmed carefully, or you can use the points and then just 1 pixel out, 1 pixel out. Okay, I hope it is going to form a good loop. Let's see if I use this in my brush stroke, it creates a seamless stroke. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a group, so that becomes one piece of object, and then you have this one here. So these all elements which I'm going to use now in the pattern. So sizes are very important, so I'm scaling this size, keeping that within this arrowhead. Okay, so you should be able to see that 1 2 3 4 5 objects lined up like this. I'm going to use all of them. Now if you see the brushes, you have this one. Okay, select that and then just paint it. You get that stroke. Okay, I'll put a 15 point and then drag, then you should be able to see that result. Okay, so all that is basically I mean, it made up of brush type. Inside this stroke we have, when we create new brush, you have different types of brushes. Okay, so in this case okay, I'm going to use the pattern brush. Earlier was the art brush, so I'm going to use a pattern brush now, and let's see how I can make use of these elements here. Okay, to make things more interesting, so I just select this one, put a yellow color. Okay, make it a copy and put a orange color. Okay, and then bring it to front, align it. Okay, so this is one circle. I'm going to copy it, and here I'm going to make this one as dark orange and yellow, just creating that uniqueness between these two. Okay, so I've got all of them. Select this, group it, select this, group it. I press Ctrl G and then it groups. Okay, and I will make sure that we have this swatches window open, and I bring this 4, except this one, I bring these 4 objects into swatches. How do you bring that? Select that, drop it, select that, drop it, and just select it, drag and drop it here in the swatches. Select it, drag and drop it. So you got that 4 swatches here. Let me go to the large them, and you could able to see that 4 swatches popped up. You can select any swatch and delete that if you wanted. Okay, you can select that and delete it, and that deletes. You can add it if you wanted back. So it's very simple. So I've not selected this one, I've selected these 4 and then created this brush. Okay, now this one I need to create a brush out of it. So what we will do is we select that, go to the brushes panel, go to this panel menu options, and then go to new brush, and then we have a pattern brush here. Okay, so select that pattern brush and say OK. Now this brings up a window, and this window is very important, and I'm going to make this none, the first one, and leave everything to the default, and then flakes brush or scales brush, we can say scales brush, and just say OK. So you should be able to see the scales brush here. Select that one, take the brush and then do this, and you should be able to see that nice stroke coming on. You can select any particular stroke. Okay, and then you can reduce the point size, and then you should be able to see the size increasing or decreasing as you reduce the point there. Now I will select the pen tool. I'm going to select the pen tool. Okay, firstly let me delete it. So direct selection tool, select the pen tool, and then hold shift and then start drawing this like that. Now select that stroke and just click on this particular scales brush, and you should be able to see that scales coming up. Now what's happening here in this corner is very important. So how do you actually deal with that? So let me select all of them and maybe hide them. It's already there in the layer, just hide it. Hide it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer and then start using that brush. Okay, now if I go to the brush options, you need to select that, go to the brush options. You should be able to see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 points which are apart from this. Now this arrow is the stroke which I have created here, and then you should see a box highlighting. So it's asking what do you want here, and this one is asking what do you want here. This one, what do you want at the start point, sorry, end point, and here this is the start point. So it's very simple, just drop and see that shapes came here. Okay, so you need to understand this is a start point. I'm going to use the red pattern, and this is the last one, this is the green pattern, this is the joint, so I'm going to choose the red circle, and here the yellow circle. Okay, that's the stroke what you have got. You have the scale value, you can reduce the scale if you wanted. Okay, I'll just choose 100 and say okay. Take the pen tool. Okay, there's a pen tool here, and start placing the curve at perfect right angles. Okay, now you select that stroke and click this brush. You got this here. Now what I need to do here is select the brushes panel, go to the brush options, and you should be able to see do you want to apply this effect onto the selected stroke? Yeah, let me check it, what happened here. Scale is, you could see now it's affecting that. Earlier it didn't, it was not showing up. And we have the spacing also. Spacing is the loop what you have created and what space you want here, that you can generally do. So the options what we have, you need to keep that options in mind, and then you need to choose the patterns, the shapes accordingly. That's how you can generally do it. Okay, so you have a flip option. Flipping, this does not affect in this side. Okay, now you should be able to see flip heads and tails, and then flip. You should be able to see the stroke is completely flipping here. We have stretch to fit, add space to fit, approximate path. Sometimes you may get some gaps and you won't get results accordingly. You can play with these three options here, how this pattern has to be correctly fit into it. And then we have colorization method. We have tint, which is basically white and the hue. Okay, so you have picked a red color and it's giving that effect on that. Tints and shades, now white, black and hue of the stroke. Okay, the darker colors get the darker shade, the lighter colors get lighter shade, but you don't get the hue changing accordingly. But if you say hue shift, then you get the hue shift per value of color. That means orange took a different hue, yellow took a different hue. So if you want to colorize, then only. If you don't want to colorize, it will take the color of the stroke what you have created, like red arrowhead, green one, and all that stuff. Now you should be able to see the arrowhead and the arrow tail are perfectly aligned in the angle. And the reason was, when I have created this one, I have make sure that the arrow is facing towards the right side of the canvas. Right side of the canvas. That is really important. Okay, so creating pattern brush is really like a smart work you need to do, because matching the patterns, their connections, all should be taken care. But if you generally take a simple paint brush and then just drop like that, it may not look that complicated as what the cornered curve was doing. I've seen a lot of when you want to create a border for your design, okay, this should be a greater help. Like, just need to select them. I'm going to take a rectangle, okay, and then choose that, and then this rectangle is having only the stroke, no fill. Just click it, and you should be able to see I've got this nice border to the canvas. And any design you are doing, let's say, not only I could see this kind of effects in wedding cards, and sometimes the sub elements of the design also need certain type of unique borders. You maybe dotted line, you have dotted lines, but something more complex like diamonds for the border. You create a diamond shape and then keep looping it, and you get that nice border created for any specific shape in the border. Let's say if I have created a polygon inside and then you wanted some border to it, okay, then open the brushes, the border which you have selected, apply it, and that's it. You got that unique border created for the design. And you can make explore the possibilities of this tool. And if you have done something really nice, please let me know.